This is a response to Lisa Nova's mob mentality video. If you haven't seen it yet, I won't recap for you. She put it really nice and eloquently, and I really think you should check it out. Plus, don't be lazy, you little shits. Link in the sidebar. So, I have really similar ideas about hanging out in groups. I hadn't really considered that it was due to some kind of mob mentality, but I'm loving that I'm drawing connections with my own personal disinterest in hanging out with 3 or more people and this mob mentality way of thinking. I feel like the IQ level seems to plummet and sometimes bottom out, and I never really had an idea of why, but now that I'm really thinking about it, with you putting it like that, it really kind of makes sense. He's totally getting mad at me for this. My boyfriend does this thing when he's at work with all of his co-workers, where he likes to torment the crackhead hobos. He and his co-workers do this is actually really embarrassing. They do this thing called poop dollars. One of them volunteers to shit in a cup, and then they roll it up in $1, and then they sit outside and they watch. It's like a really busy bar street. They sit it on the street and they wait for either drunk sorority girls to pick it up, or crackheads. And crackheads are apparently funnier because they grab it and start running and it gets everywhere. Well, it's a big group of guys, and they're hanging out at 1 o'clock in the morning on this busy street, and they think it's hilarious. I always hang out by myself, so I always, when people tell me stories, I always think, would I do that? And I mean, of course I wouldn't, but I honestly think that even them, if it were only 2 of them hanging out, it'd just be weird, sitting around and being like, hey, let's poop in a cup and roll it up in $1 and see if anybody wants to touch it. I'm sorry, I know that's nothing like the Holocaust and having a girl beat you to death and burned with cigarettes, but I was just thinking that it was relevant in that these kind of weird behavioral things become more acceptable as more people join in. And while I don't see my boyfriend tormenting the homeless and the drunk with his shit on his own, it somehow becomes more funny when more people join in. And I have a few friends that think I'm being really snooty when they invite me to social gatherings, and I tell them that, well, I don't do well in groups, and that's mostly because I get angry. When people get in groups, they get rowdy, they get loud, they get carried away, and there's a lot of competition within groups, even at parties, girls trying to out-slut each other. I usually just end up wanting to leave when I go out with big groups of people, or when I participate in group discussions, unless it's structured. Unless it's like a classroom or a debate, it's really hard for me to be able to participate. Which, if something's structured, then you wouldn't have the mob mentality. So, you asked what we thought. I was listening to videos while I was editing some photos, and I started having all these kind of wonderful revelations about my own life. Why I have a dislike of group gatherings. I felt like since it made some things connect in my own mind, I thought I'd share. So I really like this video. Not mine, yours. Bye.